on day 15 now. That's the start of the third week. But day 15 has been the hardest one of this whole process so far. Woke up this morning, I couldn't get out of bed. I woke up feeling angry, then upset. And after laying in bed for maybe 90 minutes, just started to cry and cry and cry, thinking about my mom. Oh, it's been 10 years since she died now. And I remember when that first happened, I was such a mess. There were many days at that time, like the one today, except it wasn't just an hour or two. It was all day in bed. And this morning, suddenly I was just taken back to that time of just overwhelming grief after her death. I thought, how am I supposed to record a video? This was the first day, actually, where getting up to do the meditation and the video afterwards was not the first thing I did. I mean, I guess technically, you don't have to be seated to meditate, right? So laying in bed could have counted for the meditation, but I just couldn't record the video afterwards. I didn't know, I just wasn't feeling up to it. And I thought about my mom, and the last kind of trip or event experience that we went to together was going camping with her and my dad. It was 3 of us. I loved going on that camping trip. Gosh, it was so good. I often think about that experience and just how much I enjoyed it. That was probably, I guess it was about 2 years before my mom died. Before we knew that she was really sick. I guess even looking back though, it's interesting. There's already signs. She was just so tired, and her physical health was not that good anymore. She was able to go hiking, but it was really hard. She was walking and just really complaining about her knee. Her knee had been hurting for many years at that point, several years at least. And it was very hard for her to walk. And I remember there was a couple moments where she was like, like sitting down, like on the verge of tears. It just hurts so much. I don't know how I can do this anymore. And I would stop and talk to her and say, Mom, like, are you okay? Are you sure? Like, if it's too much for you, you can go back. That's all right. But I believe in you. And if you want to keep going and you're willing to push yourself a little bit more, I said, you can do it. You don't have to give up now if you don't want to. And she continued, and we made it to the most beautiful lake in the mountains. There's so many beautiful lakes in the Sierra Nevada. I've just very treasured memories of all the times I've gone camping, hiking alone, with my family, with my friends. And that last hike with my mom, It was just so beautiful. And I'm just extremely grateful. Just extremely grateful that we had that experience. And I've been thinking, like, God, I just want to go camping. Almost every day I think about it. And I've thought about even at least going on a hike out here in China this summer. Taking a trip to the mountains. And with the situation with COVID right now, and just how strictly it's controlled, I don't really feel up to that. And realizing that I don't have to go on a trip to the mountains to enjoy time in nature. There's a few spots that I found where I live here. This one here today is a little bit more difficult, or it takes longer to get here than the local park that I've been going to more recently. But I found that this place offers a little more kind of isolation and privacy. And so I took the trip over here and brought my tent, did my meditation in the tent here. It was laying down again. It's just totally emotionally exhausted today. Didn't know how I was supposed to sit up for an hour like I did before. Actually, just a little tip, guys. If you enjoy meditation for long periods of time, but you find that it's hard to physically sit in that position, just do whatever you can to make yourself comfortable. I sit on the floor when I meditate, but a lot of people might choose to sit on a chair, and like that's totally cool too. But it's very hard for me to sit for an hour at a time right now without assistance. So what I do at home normally is I sit with my back against the wall behind me, still focus on trying to sit up straight, and this way I find that I'm able to stay seated for this longer period of time and really stay focused and drop deeper into the meditation. And today I was just like physically and emotionally spent. And so I laid down for this meditation and laid down on the tent on the dirt floor here, surrounded by these trees. And it was the most healing, restorative 75 minutes. And I know there's going to be days in the future where it's really hard and I'm feeling a lot of pain, and there's a lot coming up being released and letting go, and that's okay. I know there's going to be days where I'm all over the place, where I might be like really sad in one moment, and then angry, and then excited, and then happy and calm, and just all over the place. And that's okay. I know that there's this thing that happens where as you begin awakening and growing more aware, you start noticing all this stuff, like the patterns and habits that you might not have been aware of that were happening, like some of the mental negative thoughts that you tell yourself about you're not good enough, or I'm just stupid, or ugly, or I'll never be successful, or everybody hates me, or I'm gay, or I'm straight, or I'll never have enough money, or I've got too much money. I mean, whatever it is that you find is this negative self-talk that you're hearing, you might not have noticed it before. And so if you start meditating and listening and find that it seems that it's getting worse, that you become more aware about all the things that you hate or don't like about yourself, that's actually part of the process, and that's normal and to be expected. And sometimes it might get so bad in a sense where your awareness of just how screwed up everything seems to be in your life or how you're getting more sick, more physical pain, more symptoms, and it actually doesn't even seem like just getting aware of how bad things are, but it appears that things are actually getting worse, doesn't mean that your life is actually getting worse. Because once you start to wake up, this continues to happen. It's either just going to be faster or slower, but it will never stop. And so no matter how hard it seems at times, it's all happening the way that it needs to. You have free will. You're creating this experience that you're in right now. And this is where the idea of like victimhood comes into place, where you might say like, why is this happening to me, or why is my life so shitty, or how come everyone else seems to get whatever they want and I'm just like totally fucked. That's because you're not realizing that this situation you're in, you've created, and like that's really hard to accept when you feel like life sucks. I know, because I've been in those situations before too, where it just seemed like everything was terrible, where nobody liked me, where I didn't understand myself, nobody understood me. I was going to be single and poor and just have this worthless, wasted life forever. And then as I've grown a little bit more, I've actually seen how all of these things were what I created for myself. And it's not like once you wake up, then suddenly everything's all good, then you just have your life's fantastic and perfect. You get $1 million and beach house, and but you're the owner of a social media company, or I don't know, whatever it is that you think like being successful would look like to you. It doesn't just happen all of a sudden, except this actually does happen in a single moment, but you're still experiencing the passage of time in the 3D reality, which unfolds on a linear process. So it appears to take time, but it doesn't really, because all of this stuff is happening simultaneously, because in higher dimensions time no longer exists, and so there's no past or future. There's just infinite possibilities of infinite what am I trying to say? There's infinite potential futures and infinite potential pasts and infinite potential moments right now, and so you're just in this particular now moment, and you have this idea about the past but from before, and this idea about the future, but none of that is actually real, in the sense that everything is contained right now. And so when you realize that you have this power, it allows you to go a little easier on yourself. Because life can be hard sometimes. It hurts when someone dies that you love. It hurts when you go through a breakup. It hurts when you feel betrayed by someone, a friend or family member. It hurts when you lose a bunch of money, when your pet dies, when your home is destroyed in a hurricane or tornado, or like all these things that we go through that's part of life. Like, you don't just stop feeling pain because you've meditated for 10,000 hours in a cave. That's always going to be there. But the less attachment you have to the outcome, to the specific situation that you think you should be in, you can still have desires. You can still have a desire for a particular outcome in the future. You can still have visions and, manifestation and do all this stuff, but it's letting go of, that this must happen in order for me to be happy in life. That's the way out of this suffering. And it also doesn't mean that if you're like at a point where, okay, I feel like I've kind of mastered this and I'm an expert at surrender and letting go and non-attachment, it doesn't mean that you're enlightened or whatever, because what about what happens later? There's no guarantee that something else couldn't happen, that okay, I was so good at letting go and not attachment with everything else, but now this little freight train comes, boom, and knocks me off my feet, and now like I'm crippled and I can't like walk and I'm stuck in a wheelchair or whatever it is, and well, shit, that sucks, and I'm right back in suffering town because that wasn't supposed to happen, right? But it did, or whatever the thing is that comes around. You just never know, so it's really an ongoing practice every day of breathing, deep breaths, and honing your mind, connecting with your guides and everything that's available to guide you down your path, to keep you in line with your purpose. It doesn't end. If you're still alive, there's more work to do. So just go easy on yourself, because life is already painful enough as it is without you beating yourself up and trying to convince yourself that you just suck and that your life is worthless, which isn't true, by the way, but it's going to feel even worse when you have those beliefs. Or maybe it is true. Let's move past this idea of truth, because that's kind of like a slippery slope. How do you ever really know what's true? One of my teachers was talking about this, I saw recently. Actually, he's mentioned this for a long time, and I really like this idea, is let go of trying to find the truth and instead just test things out and make your life an experiential results-based process. So what's useful is the belief that I'm worthless and I'll never succeed in my life. It's just doomed to failure and shame and misery for forever? Or is it more useful to believe in myself and believe that I can accomplish what I want, that I believe my life can get better, that I believe I can be happy, that I believe that it's possible to reach my goals, and it's possible to feel love within myself and love for others and love from others, that it's possible that I can create a heart-centered business and all these things that I want to do because I've got desires like everyone else. Yeah, it's definitely, I can just feel in that moment, like talking about one versus the other, I can feel the shift in my energy, that these positive aligned thoughts feel more useful than the negative ones, because it leads to an immediate improvement in the frequency of my emotional state. I feel that this emotional state starts to vibrate higher at a higher frequency. So remember that emotions, the positive emotions, okay, remember there's no such thing as positive or negative really, because that's like this concept of duality. It's not that their emotions are good or bad, because emotions are just here to guide us along the way. But positive emotions are vibrating at a higher frequency, and negative emotions are vibrating at a lower frequency, and the negative emotions, because they're lower frequency, they're more dense, they tend to get stuck in the body more and cause disease, and the positive emotions tend to move freely through the body and express themselves through action and are then let go. So yeah, positive thoughts are more useful than negative thoughts. And I think that's a great place to leave it today. That's day 15. I'm so excited to see where day 16 will bring me. But I'm even more excited about just this moment right now in my tent in the forest by the river, talking to myself on this camera. What a blessing. Wow. If you told me that when I was laying in bed this morning feeling like absolute shit, feeling depressed and angry and pathetic and all these things, crying in my bed, and that I'd be here sitting in a park at 4 p.m. with a big smile on my face and sharing this incredible message on a video, I wouldn't have believed it. I would have said, get out of here. This day is just shit. I can already see it right now. But I stayed open to the possibility. I stayed committed to myself, to doing the work that I needed to do. And I chose what's useful. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up today. I love you so much. I'll see you next time.